I had a request from one of my students when we were in the studio. He was looking at all the pictures that I had up on the walls, and he requested that I do one of a mummy. Even though it's Christmas time, here's to my good buddy Desmond. Today I'm going to be working on my iPad Pro, and we're going to be working in Procreate. If you want to follow along, this is all going to be in real time, and you can do this on paper, pencil, whatever you would like digitally. It doesn't really matter. We'll walk through it all. Let's get started. We have an open brand new canvas, and I just have this set to screen size, so nothing special here. I've got my pencil, and we're just going to start with some basic shapes. His head is going to be the main focus. So like I tell my kids, my students, over and over again, draw light until you get it right. Let's get that sketching loose feeling down. We've got his head here, and then let's say we'll have his body coming off here. Little zombie legs up here. What are we going to do for his hand? Let's have this will be a hand. And we'll have a hand reaching out here. So just basic shapes. We can build up our shapes all we want. Can always make them better and sharper. We can build them up into something a little more detailed. But first we got to get just the basics down. This will be the front of him. And this will be his hand out here. Have a thumb right here. A couple of fingers. His hand here, so we'll have maybe a thumb out here. And then that arm going back. Alright, we have our basic shape of our mummy. Mummy, the original zombies. The living dead. The Egyptians invented them first. Now, let's decide what kind of eyeballs we want to have for our mummy. You know, I'm just going to give him some big old googly eyes. Because why not? And his mouth, maybe it'll have something snarling. Perhaps a tooth or two. Because why not? Have a little tongue back here. Maybe we'll see the back of his throat there. Sure. That's not going too shabby. Alright. Now, we got to wrap him up. Let's make some basically just some, keep it simple. We'll do some big loose wraps on him. Of course, his head's going to be wrapped. Let's have a big wrap right here. Big wrap right here. Maybe some wrap right here. The that's going back here. A looser wrap across his face here. And I'm going to have maybe his mouth. He would have some wrapping around his face here. This would indicate that his mouth will be free of wrap so that he can be snarling and growling and doing his thing. Let's see what kind of wrap I got here. Maybe another one right in there and there. All right. And then for his body, same thing. Loose wraps. We'll just have some loose wraps around his body. Which is, in this case, a series of rectangles and triangles. Let's keep it simple. And the loose wraps around his legs. Oh, excuse my phone. You're wondering, why does your phone sound like a rubber ducky? It's because it drives my dogs crazy. And any opportunity I can get to tease my dogs, of course I'm going to take it. Okay, loose wraps on the arms. In fact, let's have some dangly wraps coming down here off of his arm. And this one too. Some danglers. Of course, the back of his throat's going to be very dark in there. Get his little chiclet teeth showing up there. And this will be super wrinkly all around his lips. And then I'm going to keep those dead eyes of his basically dead. Let's give him some eyebrows though, because why not? You're a zombie, why wouldn't you have some 1,000-year-old eyebrows? Alright. And a little more detail to show on these hands. And I gotta show that these hands are wrapped up too, so let's give them a little bit of wrapping on those. Would be almost like for his fingers, almost like you would do for Spider-Man's fingers, like you'd be drawing those. Make it look kind of like that. Okay. Yeah, pretty close. That's not bad. So let's take what we have here and let's go and ink it. As I've mentioned before in my other videos, I love the inking process. I'm not great at it, but I love to do it. Love the way it looks. So I'm going to take this layer, if you're working with me digitally, I'm going to take that layer and lighten it up so we can see better and create a new layer on top of our ink layer. For those that are working in paper and pencil, feel free to, well, hopefully you were drawing light to begin with. Feel free to draw right over the top of it, or if you have a light board, since a lot of people have light boards just laying around, stick another piece of paper on top of this one, put it over your light board, and ink over it with your pen. If I were going to be inking this in real life, I would be using a brush pen for the most part. But you can do it with any kind of pen, really. It's preference and it's what you have. So let me make sure that I'm on the right layer. Maybe I'll go a size smaller. Yeah, about there looks good. And then, let's see, if I were to do a light source, My source would be coming this way, so if I'm inking, my thick lines are going to be obviously in the back. These are going to be my thick lines because my light is all coming from this side. Keeping that in mind. So eyeballs, and because these eyeballs are coming out of his wrapping, don't ask me how that works. Doesn't make a lot of sense. We're going to have a little bit of a shadow coming behind those. Let's get his eyebrows up here. These great 1,000-year-old eyebrows. A little thicker down there, of course. And then work on his wrap. And some more wrap. And of course, like I said, his mouth was going to be open. And make sure that we've got these teeth. I'm not going to close off the teeth. We're just going to have them fill in with the rest of his mouth. Is all part of one object. Of course, we got to have these wrinkles around his mouth for those old lips of his. And some wrap down here. From there to there. Oops. That's okay, I'm sure. Let's get his tongue. Raw. Say rawr. And then we'll darken this back of his throat here. Color that in. Now, more wraps on the top of his noggin. Let's try to give this a little bit of a not so flat look to it. We'll make it look like this wrap comes over the top of that wrap. The same with the back of his head here. Maybe just add something to indicate there's another wrap there. And I'm going to go ahead and line in his eyebrows. Real hairy eyebrows. If you look at your eyebrows, your hair usually doesn't work like this where it goes straight up, but you know what? We can do what we want because we're drawing it. And that's what I want to do. So, let's start off with his hand. Let's get this little pinky finger in there. Another little middle finger. And the old pointer guy here. His thumb. And then go to the other hand. Middle finger, little pinky, then his thumb. Okay. And work on that hand wrap. Of course, we have this piece. It's coming down here. A loose piece. Put a little shadow in there. Indicate the rest of his arm coming back here. A little wrap back there. And go to his chest reps. And then his whitey tighty wraps. Make those a little more snug. I would imagine that after all these years, they could probably still be tidy, but I imagine they are not all that whitey.
Not so tidy, not so whiteys.
They could probably use a change. And then his little legs. I'm only gonna, because I'm trying to keep this simple, I'm gonna only indicate basically a foot on there. Same thing with this one. Just a little triangle at the edge of his foot to indicate that that's what it is. And let's go back to our other hand. A wrap here that's hanging. Again, we'll hatch some lines back here. Show the rest of our wrap coming in. Maybe darken in some of this, show that that'd be in the shadow. And let's wrap up his hands. Then his fingers, like he would do Spider-Man's outfit. Other hand, and with a bandage wrap around his other hand, Spider-Man fingers. And darken some of this side again. These parts that would be more in the shadow. Just a couple more hatched lines to make it a little bit more dark. There we have Little Mummy. Now if we wanted to offset him a little bit, we can put a moon back here. Put some decent craters on that moon, because why not? Maybe a couple of smaller ones. And a little bit of depth. A little bit of texture with line. And we will draw, well, since he's going to be in the desert, let's have him in the desert. And let's have in the background, we'll pretend that he's in Giza with these super pointy pyramids. Because why not? And then if you were to color him, you go on and do what you want. If I were to color him, I would keep it simple. In fact, let me see if I can just fill in this part. Yeah, there we go. Terrible pyramids. Can hide our sketch layer. And you know what? I'm going to darken in this back of his mouth. So we can show that that's the back. And I am going to make, let's actually go even smaller than that. I'm just going to make the inside of his mouth show that it is darker by doing a handful of hatching. And there we go. That is our mummy. Contemporary mummy. New old-fashioned mummy. Whatever you want to call it. Hope this worked out for you guys. Hope you're able to follow along. And man, I would kind of love to see what you're able to come up with. I'd love to see your drawings. Show me what you did and how yours turned out. I hope it didn't look just like mine. I hope you made it look a lot better. And I hope you changed it up to make it yours especially. Anyway, I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next one. Happy drawing.